So it's really fun, the demo. So what I'm gonna ask is like, who's like a brave person that's willing to come up and talk to one of our bots? So essentially, we built bots that pretend to be customers, and you have to try to sell these bots something. So you pitch to the bots, and they will throw hard objections at you, and they will throw all kinds of curveballs at you, and you have to be able to handle them and try pitching your product anyway. So does anyone want to volunteer for that? Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
Whoa! This is really going to highlight that shit in SDR.
So this is going to be
what am I selling?
So, what product is it that you're working on right now?
AI sales automation.
Perfect. And what does it do?
Actually very similar to what Persona AI does, so maybe I'm not sure about that. Okay, kind of the same thing. We basically compile a bunch of different data providers and intent data.
Okay.
And then we utilize basically 5 different AI sales agents across like email, text, LinkedIn, social media, and FCC just made it illegal for AI phone calls, but we were doing AI phone calls as well. And then we integrate that to a CRM. So the experience for a B2B company is their AEs can pull up to a meeting, or they wake up in the morning, see how many meetings they have booked, go close the deal. And that's the experience that we're trying to build. But yeah, that's called SellNet.
Awesome. And what's the ICP for the company? Like who do you
ideal customer prospect in this case is we can target any B2B company where it's finding a lot of traction in the generative AI space because they understand the model, they understand what the technology is, and they're also trying to get as much exposure as possible and stand out from the crowd. So being able to do that with an automation tool kind of works. Okay. So usually a mid-sized AI company.
Okay. And what job titles are you targeting?
Mostly executives, senior executives, sales directors.
Sales directors, that's what I wanted to hear.
Because
we have a director of sales on Hyperbound. It's a bot, it's completely an AI bot that's going to pretend to be a director of sales. And we're going to have Kabir, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. So Kabir, you're going to basically cold call Jane Bowen, that's her name, she's a director of sales. And the company she works at is called Agile Solutions.
Okay.
And are you ready for this?
Not really, but yeah.
Let's do it. So, quick disclaimer here. She is pretty rude. She does not want to be cold called right now.
Okay.
You got to be really nice to her and you want to just sweet talk her.
Okay, I'm trying to think of all my cold calling methods I never do.
So go ahead. I turn up the sound as much as possible, so you just gotta get started whenever you're ready.
Sounds good.
Hello, who is this?
Hi Jane, my name is Kabir. I'm with SellNet. Just wanted to go ahead and give you a quick call and see if you have 30 seconds of your time. Is that okay if I can take that right now?
No, it's not really a good time to go ahead.
Yeah.
What's this about?
Well, I just came across your company, Agile Solutions, and I saw that you guys did product management software. And given that our target market really aligns with the ideal customers that you guys are targeting, figured that it would be worth having a conversation with you to identify if our synergies could help bring some more revenue to your account executives and your sales team.
Okay, get to the point.
Well,
What exactly are you offering, and why should I care?
well,
My time is not cheap.
Well, I definitely understand that your time is not cheap. You definitely seem like a great salesperson. Your team has already been super successful. Would love to know if your salespeople are getting the amount of meetings and how many people are meeting their quotas.
Look, I'm not going to dive deep into our sales metrics with you on a cold call. I can say that there's always room for improvement, but I'm not convinced you have what we need. Why should I give you any more time?
Well, if your people are not meeting their quotas, say about 50% of your salespeople aren't hitting that on a consistent basis, we can get those salespeople more meetings. The way we do that is with a variety of AI solutions that meets your company with where you're at. we can plug and play, we can make it work for you, and it's cheaper than going out with our competitive alternatives. So would that be worth having a future conversation in more depth?
I'm not convinced. I don't think this is a good fit. Please don't call me back. Goodbye.
Ooh. All good. All right, everyone, round of applause. So tell us about what your experience was like, Kober. What did it feel like?
Well, I mean, it definitely felt like as high stakes as like a normal cold call would be. Usually when you're like met with like that much resistance, I feel like you panic under the phone. I feel like I was kind of panicking under the phone. So like, even though I know it's an AI, I still felt like more than realistic, which I think is like important.
Yeah, 100%. Well, thank you so much, Kober. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that's like a quick demo of how the AI works, and we have a lot of different AI agents. You can build your own AI agents on the platform as well. So based on whatever your ICP is, we can build you bots for that real quickly. Yeah.
Is there any way Kober could have convinced the AI, or is it auto set to like say no forever?
Yeah. So this one was set on like the hardest mode. Basically, we have different difficulty levels. So this one's definitely like, nobody gets it on the first try. Even the most experienced salespeople we've had try it, never get it on the first try. So it usually takes people around like at least 6-7 tries to get through to it. You just need a really good opener. You need to be very convincing, get to the point. Use the right sales methodology that we've like kind of coded into her. So yeah, that's how you get through to her. But so what we have after that, and I know you guys can't see this, but I'm gonna go through it anyway. Basically, we have like a transcript of the entire conversation. And then we also have some stats on the conversation, like how many filler words did you use, like what is your talk listen ratio on the call, what is your talk speed, right? And we also have like a scorecard feature that actually scores you on different sections of the call.
Oh, you can try it now.
Oh, really? This is like my life. So, yeah, basically you get like talk listen ratio, filler words, the talk speed, the longest monologue, right? You get an entire transcript of the whole conversation, right? You also get a scorecard. So it shows you like, okay, on the opener section of the call, how did he actually do? On the closing, the gating. So, I'm sorry, Kober, it says 0 out of 6 this time around. That's the whole point, right? You gotta practice on this thing until you get that 6 out of 6. So now we also have like questions, like all the questions you asked on the call, right? As well as like all the objections that Jane here made, and then how you actually handle those objections, right? So it's like a quick way for managers, sales managers to come in here and see how the reps are performing. And the beauty of all of this is like, you can basically talk to this AI for as long as you want, as many times as you want, which you could never do in real life with a real prospect. So it's kind of, that's what's so different about this product.
Can it give you suggestions on what you can improve?
Yeah, so that's what this scorecard feature is essentially. So what this does is for every company, we build custom scorecards. So let's say like there's a specific sales methodology that your sales team needs to follow, right? Or you need to ask a specific question in every call. We automatically identify that here, and if you don't do that, it will basically mark it as like, okay, didn't ask this question, and then that way you know that you need to improve that. So it's like almost like a yes or no question that it's like checking for multiple different criteria.
But I need to predefine those.
So when we onboard the customer, it's basically just part of the onboarding process. We build like that custom scorecard pretty quickly. Yeah. And I mean, eventually down the line, the goal is to make that fully self-serve as well. Like you just jump into the platform, customize your own scorecard. Like we'll have a bunch of like a whole UI for that, make it as easy as possible. Yeah.
I know that this is a sales product, but I'm very curious if it's malleable enough to do negotiation.
100%. Yeah. So in fact, we already have negotiation for in what context? Because there's also sales negotiation.
Say you're negotiating with a wholesaler, you're a retailer, and you're trying to fix a price that
so we can support basically any type of human-to-human interaction, right? So in fact, like we can do customer success, we can do customer support as well. We can do like negotiation, we can do close calls. Like, you know, this is just cold calls, right? Top of funnel. So we also do discovery calls and warm calls, and then beyond that, after the discovery call, there's some like closing calls, right? So we can also simulate all of those. So it's kind of unlimited in that aspect.
Super cool.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
So in terms of like, I mean, I'm sure this is like more so internal, but for like the being like a company, for example, where we have a lot of like account executive sales development reps that are, you know, doing some of our like initial outreach or warm lead outreach.
Yeah.
Is the product roadmap of this kind of look like? Sorry, question kind of slipped me, but
Yeah, no worries. Do that.
would the product roadmap of this involve kind of being able to like set in different situations, like being able to create a
Yeah.
very specified situation you practice before going into like that specific
100%. So, you know, the way some of our customers use it today basically is every week they know who they're calling, right? Like they have a list of prospects. So basically they go into Hyperbound first, build kind of those, like the closest prospects to those on Hyperbound, practice all of those before the real calls. Like, you know, one of our customers recently, last one. So one of our customers recently actually booked a demo with Nike after practicing with a bot that works at Nike right before. So, yeah.
Off topic, what was your initial idea before you pivoted to this?
So initially, actually, same thing as Persona AI.
Oh.
So the previous idea, I think they also pivoted a bit recently, but the email personalization product that you guys had, we had basically a very similar product to that. Like it would automatically personalize emails, write them, almost like an AI SDR of some sort. And yeah, we just felt that the tech wasn't quite there yet, and we just found this to be a lot bigger of a problem just from our user interviews. So suspicious. Yeah, I think. Oh yeah, last question, and then I think we're out of
Yeah,
time.
we're almost done, but we have 2 more presentations, so maybe if we can hold it offline, because
Sure.
we want to do networking.
Yeah, sounds good.
Great.
All right. Well, thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Zach.
You guys?
Yes.
Hey, so hi, my name is Kazuki. I'm a founder of Glasp. It's like an AI persona platform. Not AI persona, but it's like creating your digital clone. And so today it's like a GTM night, right? So I'm going to talk about our GTM strategy. You know, we use open source as a GTM strategy. So I'm going to share some insights that we gain out of this. So before that, this is a demo. We are team of 2. And I'm designing, coding, and a part of Inception Studio. It's like a AI community, and Skydeck, and OnDeck, and so on. So everything. So at Glasp, before diving into our strategy, so what we let me explain what we do. So Glasp is like creating your digital clone by collecting your favorite words on the web, or like through YouTube video, from YouTube video, web page, or PDF files. So that as using that as your context data, we try to replicate who you are, yourself online. And yeah, this is like a whole, very basic structure, like a lab-based application. When someone asks something to your digital clone, and through the vector database, find like the relevant information and use the LLM and try to respond and answer. And then eventually we want to have like a voice cloning and video generation, so that you can speak with my digital clone as if you were speaking with me. And so far we got 350K users so far, and 6 million unique data, and interestingly, like 85% of people are retaining in our platform. And so this is the point, yeah. So how did we do it? So seems like it's growing, but how we do it? And so the answer is, open source as strategy. And so last January, I open sourced the project called YouTube Summary with ChatGPT. Now it has like on GitHub, and then also we created the browser extensions like this. it just summarize like a YouTube video, or you can fetch transcript or a YouTube video, like summarize video, and also summarize PDF files, web pages, and that in total that has more than 1.5 million installs.
Wow.
And since we launched literally January last year, then some other media featured our product and it went viral. So it grew like this. And before that, nothing right? Because it's nothing. So yeah, I hope. Yeah. So because there is a virtuous loop in our case. So people come for YT summary, YouTube summary, and then they realize, oh, I can use Glasp too. I mean, these are separate applications. This is our side project and this is our main project. But people come to our platform through YouTube summary because it's it's famous and viral. People find our product. Then they realize, oh, there's social aspect. So and they can learn then they stay for network because they can follow each other and they can ask other people's digital clone and so on. So then they invite other people. So this is my conclusions. Open source sometimes works, not always. And yeah, that's it.
If you just go back to the slide with the logo here.
Yep.
So I remember when I met you last year, you were trying to figure out how to go from the YouTube summary to figuring out the Glasp. So how did you guys actually do that loop?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The question was we had a YouTube summary, but we were struggling how to connect this, between YouTube summary and Glasp before. But we realized, once people install the YouTube summary, we send them to our welcome page, which is like a Glasp. If you wanna highlight and learn from other people, you can sign up for this. And some people think, oh, this is the application I can sign up so that I can keep the transcript or summary, and it's a little bit misleading, but for us it's a good leading.
When you say stay for the network, can you I see a lot of books, but what does that do?
Oh yeah. So Glasp is like a social network. So people same as Twitter, X, or LinkedIn, so that you can follow your friends, co-workers, so you can see what other people are learning and reading these days, summarizing, and so on. And so yeah, by following, they can come back to your platform to see what others are learning, and also ask their additional comments.
Makes sense. If you don't mind me asking, how many of the users that use your Chrome extension are daily active or monthly active users? So what is that conversion?
So yeah, generally conversion rate is around I forgot exactly, but 10 to 20%.
That's good. Thank you.
Yeah, was that 85% retention for the YouTube summary, or how would you
it's
define
a
that?
Glasp. So it's a Glasp, about Glasp, main project. We just let it go. We haven't touched anything since we launched. So it's growing by itself. So I don't know. I don't track any. We don't have any analytics for.
Was your ChatGPT and Claude, was that your first attempt at making some kind of side project, or did you try several and this was the first that got a lot of traction?
Yeah. So yeah, we have several a side project before, but I think we are the first mover, first one. We created YouTube summary, so that's why we got popular. But before that, we created DALI, right? The generating images through prompt, and we created Dalido. Have you played Wordle, a guessing?
Wordle, yes.
Similar to Wordle, we created Dalido, guessing what prompt this image was generated by. So we tried several just small side project, and yeah, this was.
Just a comment. I'm probably one among the 1.5 million users you
Oh,
have.
yes.
I discovered this in March last year, I guess, or maybe sometime around that time. So my co-founder is here. We were chatting. What is the next big use case of GPT before the extensions and everything showed up? So I was actually searching for a YouTube summary because I spend most of my time on YouTube.
Oh,
And
wow.
I want to take notes and I want to convert that into something that I can practice. So that extension came into help. I had no clue it transformed into Glasp, but good to see you in person.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, that's it.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The wonders of open source.
Can I ask you for a shameless plug? Will you take pictures with people from back there? My CEO asked me to make sure I got pictures with the audience in it as well.
Get the back of everybody's head. She wants to make sure she's actually doing it.
It's like, hey, I got these votes, but why is it empty, guys?
I'm supposed to post for promotion to make sure that, you know, we profile and help, you know, everybody with it. I think it's just to make sure I actually show up to the events.
Awesome. Hi guys, I'm Steph. I am the COO and one of 3 co-founders of Naro. And I'm going to talk to you guys today very briefly about trends in Gen AI, specifically for tooling and sales and marketing, tied to Naro, the company I'm building. Okay, so I think we can all agree that, I mean, probably everyone is here because AI has completely changed the way that we work. And it can really empower go-to-market teams. But in particular, people are looking for the tools that not only increase quality at the same speed or increase the speed at which you can do stuff at the same quality. It's kind of like base level. Everyone's looking for the tools that push this frontier out. And a lot of go-to-market teams actually have a mandate. This tree is like attacking me. They have a mandate to go and find these tools, test them out, and figure out what can they actually apply to their teams to make this work. So you have your first set of tools. I think these are the tools we all know and love, but they're the ones that are just the generative and base generative. So we're talking about you can create a lot from a little here. You can take a single prompt and you can create a bunch of customized emails. But I think most people here will agree that while this was really awesome and shiny and new and super exciting, we were all getting our hands on this, the generative aspect alone actually can fall a little bit flat. The personalization isn't deep enough, you don't have enough customization, and really what this gave us is the power to span the world at scale, but didn't have a lot of meaning behind it. So then you have the next layer of generative AI tools, which are the ones that can actually synthesize and analyze. And they're the ones that, honestly, they do the exact opposite, right? So if you're thinking about building in generative AI, thinking about this aspect is really important as well. If you're thinking about adopting tools, making sure the tools you adopt can do this as well. This is taking a ton of information and then distilling it down into those really core insights that actually give you actionable things to go and do. And what's really powerful about this is the best tools are the ones that are kind of layering these together. So they have the synthesis AI component that then layers on top of the generative and makes the generative really, really powerful. And so you go from spamming the world at scale to understanding the world at scale and actually creating meaningful connections, creating meaningful output. And so Naro is taking kind of these 2 elements of generative AI and applying it to the world of content and knowledge, specifically for sales and marketing. So the problem that we're addressing, and not a lot of you have been on sales teams, so you're gonna have to take my word for this. Sellers are super busy and they just cannot retain all of the knowledge and content that they need to retain. You can have the best seller in the world who goes through the best training in the world, and literally a week later they're asking you questions like, wait, do we have a product sheet on this? Do we integrate with this system? Where do I find this customer story? And especially as your product becomes more technical, this can become more and more challenging because there's more stuff that they have to learn and remember. And if you're a SaaS product, you're iterating really fast, so this is changing all the time too. And so this actually presents a really great opportunity though for this idea of like synthesizing. Because Naro can take all of this content and knowledge along with the context that the seller is operating in, and then they can actually deliver, they can distill it down, and they can deliver exactly the right content and knowledge at exactly the right point when sellers need it. And then on top of that, you can have the generative aspect, right? Then you can also generate the email, but it's not just a blanket general email. We're actually using all of these insights from what is the context, what is the content, what is the knowledge, and bringing that email together. All right, so how does this actually work in real life? First and foremost, Naro is a AI curated library, and so everything lives in this one spot. So this is, one of the big problems is this knowledge is often not only not remembered, but it's all over the place, right? You have a blog, and you have a wiki, and your knowledge is just everywhere. So Naro can literally take all this and put it in one spot. Take your glossy marketing stuff like case studies, one-pagers, but also all of the little snippets of language that sellers are using on a day-to-day basis. So their objection handling, their Q&A, just the language that they like to use to frame this case study, it all lives here. And we can auto-curate it, we can use a bunch of AI to tag it and organize it and make the world of the marketer, a lot better. But then also we sit within the seller's workflow. So what's exciting is this is where the synthesis comes in. We sit in their email and we actually understand the context and we can proactively recommend the right content and knowledge there. So we're, again, distilling down this huge corpus of knowledge into a small, actionable insights. And then we also sit in your meetings. So, we understand the context of the meeting, and then after the meeting, we can craft the follow-up email. The distinction here is people after meetings often come from back to back to back. They want the full email crafted, and then they can swap stuff out if they want. With an email, they actually want that choice right there. So we made that choice very intentionally. And then, so what's really important though, and kind of a huge differentiator of Naro, is this idea of sitting in the workflow. So again, here you have an example of Samantha Buyer. She's sending me in an email, and Naro will automatically identify objections, questions, topics, etc. And then we're going to make the recommendations for the best content and knowledge to address this. But we're not just making recommendations based off of relevancy. We're actually, again, taking this huge set of data. So what has worked before? What have you used before? What are your customers engaging with? What are people like Samantha Buyer engaging with? And using all of that to determine truly the best thing. So the recommendations will get better over time as we learn more about your company. And why, kind of parting thought here, but why does in the workflow actually matter? I love this quote from Sequoia Capital's Generative AI Act 2. I highly recommend everyone read Act 1 and Act 2, where they said, the moats are the customers, not the data. And the reason this resonated is because in Act 1, they predicted that the moats were gonna be data moats. Like, that's what the tools that we're gonna win, we're gonna have the best data moats. Turned out, access to this data, unless you have something super highly specialized, is pretty easy to get. We're all getting access to Salesforce, we're all getting access to Gmail. Like, people aren't having the unique data sets that really set them apart. But what they are doing is if you build for the customer, and you build the right workflow, you build it in a way that they want to adopt it, then they're ending up winning. So this is kind of a basic product tenet that has applied to the world of AI, much more so than anyone predicted, but building in the workflow, and this is what Naro truly believed. No seller wants another destination that they have to go to. They don't want to have to change how they work, they just want it to be better. And so Naro built specifically to operate in the workflow so that they don't have to change how they work, and we can't just make them better. That's it. And then this is our team. So awesome.
What is like a workflow that you've seen that your users love?
There's two. So it's the two core tenant ones, but the Gmail one is really nice, and we're actually changing it from just an extension to be truly integrated into Gmail.
Yeah.
Because it's literally right there. So most sellers are operating out of their Gmail when they're communicating, and the first question we get is, well, do I have to go somewhere else?
Yeah.
And they love the fact that we're like, no, you don't have to search. The whole goal is to eliminate search.
Yeah.
We're gonna give you the right information right here. So they love that. And then two, people have really loved the meeting follow-up in particular, because that's probably one of the most painful things that sellers have to do. So, we're not actually trying to do that first touch of outbound, so we work really well together. But once you have that conversation conversation started, remember, you get off of 5 back-to-back calls and you're like, everyone sounded the same. What did we talk about? What did we go through? What questions were asked? What objections were brought up? And you know, if they're using Gong, we work really well with Gong. Gong's great at drafting the follow-up, but they don't sit on the knowledge base. So they can't link the case studies. They can't pull in your tidbit of language. And so we can take it a step further and like truly draft everything with all of the information you need out there.
I think a huge thing with like case studies or like tutorials is like vertical specific.
Yes,
or, like,
exactly.
Similar companies, so.
Yeah, and so we can understand like what vertical are you operating in, what's worked before for this sort of vertical, what kind of persona is this, and we can bring all of that in to like make sure the follow-up is tailored to both that and the conversation that you have.
So how do you make it easy to upload your whole knowledge base? Because every company has a different structure for the knowledge base.
So I will answer the today, and then I will answer where we are literally building and about to launch. So the today is we've got integration with Google Drive. We've made one click for your website. We can ingest all of your blog really easily. The beauty of the ingestion is all of the summarization, bullet points, tagging, all of that, all done automatically. I didn't focus very heavily on that because that's a little bit more of the basic generative AI, but the nice thing is like marketing teams right now spend a ton of time setting up traditional content knowledge bases, doing those summaries, doing that organization, and that's a super easy thing to solve out the gates. Where we are going with this is we realized that sellers have all of the content that they're using on a regular basis in their Gmail, which we integrate with. So we're doing 2 things. When you sign up, you go back 90 days. Any piece of content that you have sent to more than one customer, so that way it's not specialized to just one specific customer, we will automatically ingest, and then we will show you, and we'll say, hey, do you want to keep this in the library? We'll also do it with snippets, so we actually can be like, this is the pieces of language that you're using over and over again. Would you like us to save this? So it actually takes that onboarding and makes it even faster. And what's really cool about that is then we can run analytics on it immediately and show marketing, like, here's the content that's being used regularly by your sales team for the last 90 days. Here's the stuff that no one's touching. And it gives them the insights that they need out the gates, and then marketing can supplement that.
Do you connect to the LMS as well? Like the Seismic, HighSpot?
So we're competing with them. So we're very, it's a good question though, because we were debating if we wanted to just sit on top of that and provide in the workflow and more of the intelligence than they are. Problem is like, they're obviously gonna see this as a direct competitor, and we believe that we can do the onboarding way easier than them. And so right now we're not trying to replace, eventually we will. Right now we're just going for, the nice thing is what we have built is available for much smaller teams. Seismic, HighSpot, all of them, they can be great tools. They're really, really expensive. They've explicitly built it for enterprise, and so unless you're willing to drop like $100K, you're probably a little bit out of their price point, whereas like we can address a lot of the smaller companies, and then we're already in the door, and so as they grow, we can grow with them. Okay.
I have 2 questions. So the first one is, which languages do you use?
Great question. So we are primarily English, but we are working on localization. And so, the biggest challenge with localization is we can do all the summarization, we can do all that. We have no idea if we did a good job, because we don't speak that language. So that's a big challenge, but we are right now actively working on supporting multiple languages. The way that it would work is you would have your core English library, you could toggle to another language library. Both the web app would then translate into that language, along with the summaries and everything. It's just, a little challenging.
Okay, thank you. And second question is, so now you will focus on sales and marketing. Right?
Yeah.
So is there any other like function that you want to explore next?
Yeah, it's a great question. So other functions we want to explore. Unintentionally, we've seen a ton of interest on the CS side, customer success. Still go to market, still customer facing, but the beauty is like you load in all your Q&A and all your help articles and everything, and it's like right there, already in the workflow. So natural extension. But really, it can work for anyone that has these documents and questions that they need to answer. Us as founders have found like, hey, next time we go to fundraise, we're probably going to use this. There's potential for RFPs and having all your RFP information in there. So like, you can really expand it to anywhere that you have knowledge and you want that knowledge just surfaced at the right moment in time. We're focusing primarily first on sales marketing.
My question kind of goes more towards like the security and compliance aspect of it. As a lot of like startups and clients that I've interacted with are very, I guess, strict with their IP. What type of like compliance and security do you offer to, maybe clients that are a bit more on the weary side of things?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we're currently in the process of SOC 2 certified, so I think we're about a month out from being SOC 2 certified. And we are also kicking off GDPR just because a lot of people have cross, Europe sales team. And then the other thing is like just being really clear in terms of our data policy. Like we're adjusting your data to make these recommendations better for you. And so just being really clear about that. Like, yes, we're gonna have access to this. We will clear any of the data as soon as we no longer need it to make the recommendations appropriate. But for now that seems to have been fine. We're working with some enterprise customers and they've been on board. So okay, oh yeah, last question. Anyone else, any other questions? Awesome. All right, thank you.
Thank you.